You're running full speed, but the markets are faster. Quasar Markets Live brings the world's top financial minds to you. Everything you need to know in one place. Learn from elite educators and gain a competitive edge, leveling the playing field for you. Join the conversation. Quasar Markets Live.
Good afternoon, everybody. I've got Harlan ACCOLA with me today. It's an exciting one. I'll tell you why. Because, quite frankly, this is one that most people have a negative connotation, and they're wrong, right, Harlan? So today, I'd like to introduce you to Harlan ACCOLA, reverse mortgages. Let's talk about reverse mortgages. First of all, welcome to the show, Harlan. How are you, man?
Hey, doing great, especially now I'm hanging out with somebody like you. I hope all your wisdom rubs off on me.
Wow, I love that. All right, let's get right to it. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, the company that you work for, and your thoughts today, man.
Yeah, I'm just a farm kid from Wisconsin who got kind of lucky and learned a little bit about a very unique product that's changed my life and my lives of my friends and clients, and more specifically, thousands of our clients throughout the country. I learned about reverse mortgages about 20 years ago, and that's all I do is work in the retirement space with people like me who are over 62 that have gray hair and sometimes no hair. And we put together a plan that is different sometimes than the plan they already had because they don't realize that they can actually use the equity inside their house. And that's really the issue that it comes down to liquidity. And when you think about it, all things that we invest in have a withdrawal option. Either you're going to sell it at some point or you're going to take income from it, whatever. People don't look at their house the same way, but you can put money into a house for years and years and years. And when you get older, you can take it out, but you don't have to sell your house to take it out. And that's really what a reverse mortgage is simply a way to create some liquidity in an otherwise very illiquid asset.
Yeah, and Harlan, you talk about reverse mortgages, and we're going to dig into it today because I think it's very important. I grew up watching these commercials on TV from, and of course, even the day we see Tom Selleck and all these guys saying, oh, you can stay in your house and don't worry, I'm not going to steal your house from you. And reverse mortgages is the way you should go if you want to live well into your retirement. And we're going to take all this house from you, right? Harlan, tell us why that's wrong. Explain to us a little bit about, and I think it's important for all of us here to understand the history of reverse mortgages. Can you take us back just a few years? Talk to us about how reverse mortgages kind of started, and then talk to us about what it is today and the myth that we all think of as reverse mortgages.
Yeah, I cover this as kind of a key chapter in my book called Sex, Drugs, and Reverse Mortgages, which for some reason happens to be the most read chapter. Sometimes people turn to that, chapter 6, right away. But, there's certainly some deserved criticism of reverse mortgages because many people got ripped off on these things because they weren't the correct thing for the client. They weren't a safe scenario. And a lot of people ended up losing their houses. And so people say, well, there's smoke, there's fire. There must be a reason why these things are bad. Yeah, they were misused. Sex can be good or evil. Drugs can kill you or they can save your life. Reverse mortgages can be good or bad too. Really anything. Investments can be good or bad. There's been a few investment scams out there. So the issue comes down to this. In 1988, President Reagan, as part of a housing bill for the Federal Housing Administration, said, hey, there's a need to create liquidity for seniors in their houses. They've amassed a lot of equity. He could have never imagined $14 trillion worth of equity that we're sitting on now. But he said, we got to make this thing safe. So what he did is come up with a program that guarantees you never get kicked out of your house, guarantees you can never be upside down no matter what happens, and guarantees that you can have access to the money that's inside of your house, some of it, not all of it, and still live in it and enjoy the house without having to move. So when that happened back in 1988, a ton of things changed, and now the program has morphed over the years and got better and better to the point that it is a management tool that I personally use, and many people that are wealthy use it. A lot of people think it's just for people that are broke, and that's what the TV ads are after. hey, you need money, call this 800 number and we'll send you money out of your house. And it's too bad because that has colored the whole reverse mortgage scenario to the loan of last resort. In fact, when I did mine and I put it on Facebook, one of my high school friends called me and said, Harlan, you doing okay? Are you broke? Why'd you get a reverse mortgage? And I said, no, I'm doing great. In fact, I'm going to save 34 grand in taxes this year because of my reverse mortgage. That is really what people need to understand, is this is a tool just like IRAs are a tool, just like 401ks, life insurance, annuities, whatever you're using as your assets under management and your brokerage accounts, you can use your house in the same way. And that's where people get really mixed up and thinking, oh, this is just for people that are broke. It's to be avoided at all costs, and listen to the Dave Ramsey stuff out there.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think one of the things that we did with Crazy Markets Live was that I wanted to bring people like yourselves that can explain these complex situations, or there are, the bad people, as I always say, out there in every financial industry. And this is not that situation, right? Reverse mortgages are actually a good product if they're used the right way. And, one of the things I think, Harlan, it'd be really good if you can give us a few scenarios of where reverse mortgages went bad, and then explain to us where in a person's life that reverse mortgages are the scenarios of where they should be good and how they should be using them.
Yes, there's really, Steve, two different types of applications for a reverse mortgage. The first group is for the people that have their house paid off. They've bought a house, they've done all kinds of changes, they paid money into it for years, and remodeled it and upgraded and everything else, and it's paid off. They've made all kinds of payments, and now they have $1 million house. Well, you can take money out of the house safely without ever needing to pay it back, and just until you die, until you move out of the house, no monthly payments, and using that money tax-free to be pulled out of your house, just like you would pull money out of a Roth IRA, just like you'd pull money out of a life insurance contract or some sort of tax-advantaged annuity. So that's one option. And that's about half the population that have their houses paid off. Now, then look at my situation of the people that don't have their house paid off. On purpose, I put more money into investments because I knew when I reached the magical age of 62, which is the earliest you can do one of these FHA HECM programs, is I knew I was going to eliminate my mortgage payment. And so I paid $3,000 a month on my mortgage until I got to be 62, reversed my mortgage, my payment went down to zero, even though I could afford to make the payment because I was still working, had plenty of savings and investments and everything else. But I didn't want to continue sending money to my house when I didn't have to anymore, so I sent it into my investments. Because of that, my net worth has went up really dramatically over the last 3 years because my payment is zero. I've got a tax deduction, and I'm in a situation where not only my net worth is higher, I have a higher cash flow because my mortgage payment is zero, which is really a great number. And I get tax deductions besides, along with that, on the income that I'm getting in, or when I do a Roth conversion or whatever. So where they can be used incorrectly is these programs like Open Door, Unison, some of the other ones that are not really reverse mortgages. They're called shared equity loans. You don't really own the house 100% anymore. You've given up control of your equity, sometimes even being required to pay rent. And most of the time, that does not fit for the long term. Might be fine for a short time, not great for the long term. So that's really the difference. And we do not deal with those at Movement Mortgage. The only thing we do, Stephen, is the loans that are safe, that are called non-recourse loans. There's no recourse. We don't take over the house unless somebody does not pay their taxes and their insurance. Obviously, you got to pay your taxes and insurance, or else you have to do that even if your house is paid off. So that is the only thing that we work in. So everybody is guaranteed to stay in their house until they're 150 or whenever they pass away, and we haven't had anybody get close to 150 yet. And what you're seeing on the screen now is
I sure do want to be 150 at some point, right? I mean, no, right? Yeah, look, like I've got your website up here, Harlan. Is that your beautiful face sitting up there? I see.
Yeah, we couldn't. I wasn't anywhere near as good looking or as tall as Tom Selleck, but I do know a whole lot more about this stuff than Tom Selleck does. He's never sat at a table with a client, either at the kitchen table or the boardroom table. So that's the best talent that I could use because I was free. But we go through some of the scenarios and how do you buy a house with a reverse mortgage? How do you refinance a forward mortgage with a reverse mortgage? How does this fit into retirement? And it's just a great place to start of kind of going through that. Movement Mortgage, of course, does forward mortgages as well. This is just our movement.com reverse slide. And of course, we do all sorts of mortgages that help people build the wealth, and then the reverse mortgage helps them use the wealth that they built.
I'm going to go ahead and play your video here for everybody to see here.
Let's be clear, you've worked hard to save for retirement. But did you know that the wealth you built up in your home could be your most valuable retirement asset? You see, a reverse mortgage is nothing more than a way for older homeowners to turn their hard-earned home equity into cash. Many homeowners believe the only way to access their housing wealth in retirement is to sell their home, refinance with a traditional mortgage that creates more payments, or obtain a home equity line of credit or a HELOC, which also has payments. However, these are not great options for those approaching retirement or already in retirement. Selling the home results in paying rent or paying for another home. And traditional mortgages obviously hurt your cash flow with required mortgage payments every first of the month. Fortunately, there's a better option, a reverse mortgage, which allows qualified buyers to access a portion of your home's equity without giving up any ownership of your home and without required monthly principal and interest mortgage payments.
I like that. It's very crystal clear about what it is that you're talking about there, Harlan, and you're making it a lot easier for people to understand, I think. But I think the best part about it is maybe just calling you and saying, hey, Harlan, tell me all about how do I do this? I actually own my home, or I'm in the midst of paying my home off, or I have my, different situations. When is the best time in a person's life to come to talk to you, Harlan?
The best time is really before you turn 62. So it's part of a plan. I was just talking to a financial advisor this morning, and he's got a client that's got $5 million in IRAs, a couple $1 million in the brokerage account, 2 houses, and they're in their 50s. And they're making extra payments so they're debt-free by the time they're 62, which is a horrible idea. That's one of the biggest mistakes that 40 and 50-year-olds are making right now. And so the best time is to make your house part of your plan, just like you make your 401k part of your plan, just like you make your brokerage account part of your plan. It's that, hey, I'm amassing this wealth. What should I do with it? And what's going to happen to my cash flow? And so, however, as far as getting a reverse, we talk to people all the time that are getting forward mortgages and say, hey, we're going to give you a refund of your money when you get to be 62. But as far as when actually doing a reverse mortgage, the 6 months before your 62nd birthday, you should be talking to us as to how am I going to do this? What should I figure for interest rates and so on? Now, one guy came to me and he said, well, I listened to your program and I guess I missed the boat because I'm 75 and I'm not doing it at a good time. Well, that's like saying, well, I didn't start saving at 25, so I'm not going to start saving at 35. It still makes sense to do. It's just the optimal time to do it is at 62 because you have the longest time to use that leverage and the longest time to take advantage of the insured guaranteed equity inside the home. So,
for example, people like myself that own our home, my wife and I own our home outright, and let's just talk about when you do these reverse mortgages, and I turn 62, I've done a reverse mortgage. Do I have to still put the new shutters on the house? Do I still got to change the gutters out? Do I still got to wipe this? We live in Florida, so there's no snow, but do I still have to keep my house up, or do you guys do that?
No, that's any time that somebody is paying your taxes or paying your maintenance, they own your house because nobody is going to pay taxes on a house that they don't own. So if somebody offers to pay your maintenance, if somebody offers to pay your taxes, that is not a reverse mortgage. That is an ownership change. You sold all or part of your house. That's where that unison stuff comes in, all of those other scenarios. So yes, you're responsible for the upkeep. You're responsible for the taxes, the insurance. You can paint the house green or purple or whatever you want to paint it. That is entirely yours. Just like if you had your house paid off, the same rules would apply because you own it free and clear. And it's just that we're giving you access to between 30 and 50% of the value of your house because we're not buying it. If somebody gives you 80%, I guarantee you they're taking an ownership stake in your house.
There's your answer. I like that, Harlan. That helps differentiate the myths out there. Harlan, I got to ask. I mean, growing up as a kid, you did not say I want to be in reverse mortgages. So, talk to me a little bit about your past. Tell us about. Are you a fisherman? You like some baseball? What do you got? What do you like, man?
Well, most people don't realize that my first career was up in the air, literally. I ran an aerial photography business with my brother for 17 years, and we flew in these little four-place airplanes, and we flew all over 27 states. We shot over 1 million aerial photographs of farms and ranches and homes in the country, mostly commercial properties. We shot things like the Field of Dreams and in Iowa, and we shot the skylines of a lot of major cities. And so I spent thousands of hours inside a Cessna 172 shooting aerial pictures. And then we sold that business back in the 90s. And it's like, okay, what do I do with the rest of my life? I'm only 40 or my 30s at that point. What do I do now? And so I looked at the mortgage business and I started looking into it and thought, well, I can help people get out of debt. And I started reading books by Dave Ramsey and, this debt-free stuff and helping people with biweekly payments. And I didn't understand enough until I really started talking to financial advisors and people in the financial industry that just a minute, debt is a tool. Why are we trying so hard to get rid of it? And so I just researched this stuff out because I told people to stay away from reverse mortgages because they're a ripoff and they're a bad thing and they're going to hurt your family and it's bad for old people and it's bad for young people and stay away from them. And when I started researching it back in 2004, I realized just a minute, this is part of a whole financial plan. And we're seeing a tsunami of people my age, baby boomers, 72 million of us turning 62, 65, 67, 70. My older brother is born in 1946. He just turned 77 this month. There's millions of us, and many are not prepared properly for retirement, but we are sitting on the largest single asset in one asset class in the history of the world, $14 trillion. And that's when I understood I've got to be a part of this. This isn't as big as AI, but this is a big deal. It's a $14 trillion industry, and it's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, and of course I'm in the AI business, but let's just talk about that for a second. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that the biggest asset within the country is actually real estate. Harlan, when you look at the real estate market today, and you look at the baby boomers, and as I've been calling it, the greatest wealth transfer in human history, are these people, the baby boomers that are retiring and that are starting to pare down some of that money out of the stock market, pare some of that money down to go play golf more often, when they do the transfer to their children, the reverse mortgage, do the kids get pissed off because, oh, dad and mom sold my house off? What happens in that situation? How do you relate that to today and what we're and how, when you look at it from that perspective, do you talk to the children too while you talk to the parents, or is it like one big family that's, hey, mom and dad are about to do a reverse mortgage here? What do we do in that situation?
Absolutely awesome question, because I'm a big fan of the 7 habits of highly effective people. And one of the habits is begin with the end in mind. Things have to end well, not just begin well. And there's a whole bunch of investments, a whole bunch of financial decisions that they're great in the beginning, but they do not end well. A reverse mortgage is something that helps people end well. Now, are there some kids that are ticked off because their mom and dad did a reverse mortgage? Yeah, most of the time because they didn't understand what the deal is. If we can talk to the kids beforehand, they will tell their parents to do it. Our 4 sons are thrilled that we're doing a reverse mortgage because, first of all, I can give them more money while we're alive. And secondly, they're going to end up with a larger inheritance at the end because they're going to get Roth IRAs and they're going to get life insurance, death benefits, instead of a whole bunch of money in one house or in a couple of houses and some of the other things that we own. So the issue is that everybody has 3 buckets of wealth. They've got their income that takes care of their income. They've got their assets under management, their life insurance, their annuities, their brokerage accounts, their stocks, bonds, and then they've got their house. Now, I will die with less equity in my 3rd bucket in my house, but I will have more to spend while I'm alive and more to give my kids from bucket 2 in the middle. So it is proven with thousands of Monte Carlo simulations that if you do a reverse mortgage at 62 instead of not at all, or doing it when you're in trouble at the end, that you will end up with better cash flow, a better income tax situation, lower income tax, and a higher net worth. Less money in your house, but more money in other places. I mean, Because think about that. This is not the position of my company that I work for, but if I just kind of think with my basic, understanding of markets, if all 72 million of us are going to die in the next 20 to 30 years, and we're all of our houses are going to be sold, is that going to mean that we're going to continue to have a big increase in housing? I don't want. I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. Say nothing about 20 or 30 years from now, but I don't want all of my wealth concentrated in one real estate stock. My house is worth 1.4 million. I would not put 1.4 million into any one stock. I'm not going to put 1.4 million into my house. And so to have too much money in one asset class is just simply not wise. I think real estate is a wonderful investment, and I've owned a lot of it over my 45 years of adult life. But it is not something that you want to put. I mean, my grandma told me I collected eggs for her. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket.
That's right. Well, let me ask this question. Let's say many of the baby boomers today own more than one home. They might have a home up in north, as they say, and then they come down to a winter wonderland down in the south. They own two homes, right? That's their. Do you see that where one home is under reverse mortgage and the other to pay off the other home? Are you seeing scenarios like where let's go buy more than one home, put a reverse mortgage on it to pay off another home? Is there like those kind of scenarios where the strategies behind reverse mortgages?
Yeah, it's funny you just mentioned that, because I was just talking to a client from Indiana. He's got about $1.5 million in investments. He's got a couple of investment properties. And he's got a really nice home in Indiana, $1 million home in Indiana. We are in the process of taking money out of that home to buy the dream second home in Florida. They got 26 grandkids. You got to do something with to get the grandkids down to Florida when they want to live down there. So they're buying a relatively large home that can be rented out when they're not down there. And they're using the money out of their house in Indiana to buy the property, or at least put a large down payment on the property in Florida, so their cash flow is barely affected at all. And now they own two homes, and there's no cash flow requirement in either of them. They can make payments if they wish, but they don't have to. And the only reason they do it is to save money on their Roth conversions and stuff like that. If they pulled money out of their regular IRAs to buy that house down there, they'd be overpaying because they got to pay a whole bunch of money in taxes in 1 year. Here we can help them with the Roth conversion to always keep them below the 24% tax bracket. That's what we do in the planning at Movement Mortgage. We work with financial advisors, we work with CPAs and estate planners to put the whole thing together of how this fits. So as soon as I talked to this client, I said, okay, now let's schedule a meeting with Sherrod, your financial advisor, so we can make sure this fits in with his plans and what he's already got planned for you to enhance the plans, not just leave it the way it is. So sometimes people will buy a second home. Sometimes they'll buy a fancy car that they've always wanted. Sometimes they'll help their kids buy houses.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great transfer of wealth. Help your kids buy houses now rather than give them your house 20 years from now. All four of my kids have houses because I helped them buy it as soon as they got to the point where they were old enough. Don't be waiting. Now we've got, in our household, we've got 5 horses in the race, not just one.
So a reverse mortgage to take some money out to help your children actually buy their house now to start the process. I like that. Look, I think one of the cool things about Harlan, I think you're pretty out there like me. You're not scared. I'm gonna post everybody here so they can get a hold of you. And I'll do that at the very bottom. For those of you who don't know, Harlan's got his email out there. You can talk to him. You can call him up, ask him about reverse mortgages. I'm going to share the LinkedIn page for you, Harlan, actually out there. I have put the Harlan's ACCOLA. I put your LinkedIn page in the comment section, so you can click on that. You can go look him up. He's the real deal, folks. You can actually call him up, and you can see the website, obviously, but the LinkedIn for me is where it kind of puts the bread to the butter, where you find out that, as I always say, the pedigree of someone. You've been doing this a long time, Harlan, all right?
Since 2000, well, I've been in the mortgage business since 1996, but specifically specializing in reverse mortgage since 2004. So I'm an old guy.
I like that. And that's what I think that's part of it, right? Is that we when we want to hear from people talking about the markets, I always want to hear from people that's been in the trenches and understand it. And I've asked you about 5 or 6 scenarios, and without hesitation, you went right into it, because these are not abnormal scenarios, right? They're things that people are really asking of you. And when I see the Tom Sellecks of the world on TV, I cringe, but I don't need to cringe because Harlan, I mean, you've been doing it for a long time, and this is something that you're passionate about, obviously, but more than passionate is that you're actually helping people, and I really appreciate that. So part of what Quasar Markets here does in Quasar Markets Live. So for those of you who don't know, Harlan ACCOLA, my friend, listen, if you want to ask those questions, go do it now. If you want to have a question for him now, but I will let you go, Harlan. Is there anything else you want to tell us before we let you go?
Well, you know, the last thing I should mention is that going back to does it end well? So many people have said, what if I live too long? What if the value of my house goes down like happened back in 2008? These loans are non-recourse loans, the only ones that Movement does. And that means that even if the value of your house goes down and you owe more on the house at the end than what it's worth because now you're 95 and the house prices are down like they were in 2008, you can never be asked to pay that difference, and your kids are protected, your spouse is protected, you are guaranteed never to get kicked out of your house when you get older, as long as you're paying the taxes and the insurance and taking care of things. And that safety factor, that net that is underneath, is a way bigger deal. And quite frankly, I wouldn't even do this if that wasn't the case, because I could leave a big problem behind for my kids, and nobody really wants to do that unless they don't like their kids. And you know, check us out. This is not just about me. I'm part of I manage an entire network across 50 states at Movement. And Movement Mortgage is a really cool company, and we give back to our communities. We give away 50% of our profits every year. There's no mortgage company that does that. If you go to movement.com or movementfoundation.com or movementschools.org, we make a dramatic difference. We've given away hundreds of millions of dollars, and you can only do that as a privately held company. If you're a public company, they don't allow doing that. But we educate kids. We build places for community centers and churches in Central America. I'm really proud to be a part of this. When you do business with us, you're making a big impact on the lives of others, not just your own. We're thrilled to be able to do that.
Man, I really like that, Harlan. That's near and dear to my heart too, as well. Harlan ACCOLA, Movement Mortgage, man. Thank you so much for being on Quasar Markets Live, folks. You already have his info. If you want to come hit him up, go ahead, and I'll let you have this last word there.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, Stephen. We exist. The story that we have at Movement, we exist to love and value people. That includes old people and young people also. We exist to love and value people. It's just a lot of fun because we're into changing lives, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell the story.
I love it. I think telling the story is part of who we are and where we are in the bigger picture. But Harlan, I think that the myths of reverse mortgages need to be broken, and I think you're the guy to tell that story. So I appreciate that, Harlan. And until next time, I'll see you there on Quasar Markets Live, man. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you. Appreciate you.